You didn't lose because you weren't good enough. You lost because you weren't ready, yet failure isn't here to destroy you. It's here to expose you. And most people quit right when the lesson starts. Failure is the moment most people run from, but it's the moment that forges greatness. Not the applause, not the wins, the losses, the rejections, the nights you question everything. Failure strips you of excuses and forces you to face who you really are when nothing works. It doesn't care about your intentions, your potential, or your comfort. It only responds to growth. Every setback is feedback. Every loss is instruction. If you're paying attention, failure will sharpen your discipline, strengthen your mindset, and harden your resolve. But if you ignore it, it will repeat the lesson louder and more painful. The choice is simple: learn or stay stuck. They don't talk about this part when they celebrate you. They don't tell you what's hidden underneath the wins, the smiles, the handshakes, the applause, because success can lie to you, but failure never lies. See, success has a way of covering things up. It puts makeup on your weaknesses. It dresses insecurity and confidence. It convinces you that what you did once, you can always do again. It whispers, you've arrived. And the moment you believe that lie, you stop sharpening your blade. You stop checking your foundation. You stop asking the hard questions. And then failure shows up, not to embarrass you, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Failure walks into your life and pulls the curtain back. It doesn't attack your talent. It exposes your habits. It doesn't question your dreams. It exposes your discipline. It doesn't care what you meant to do. It only shows you what you actually did when pressure showed up unannounced. I've seen people win early and lose later because success hid what wasn't solid. They looked strong, but they weren't structured. They looked confident, but they weren't consistent. They looked ready, but they were rehearsing instead of preparing. And success let them get away with it until it couldn't anymore. Failure is the audit. Failure is the mirror. Failure is the moment truth speaks without emotion. You don't really know how patient you are until your timeline collapses. You don't really know how disciplined you are until nobody is watching. You don't really know how bad you want it until quitting makes more sense than continuing. That's what failure reveals. It reveals the cracks in your character. It reveals the shortcuts in your work ethic. It reveals whether your confidence came from preparation or praise. And here's the hard truth most people don't want to hear. If failure keeps showing up in the same area of your life, it's not attacking you, it's teaching you, but you're refusing the lesson. You keep asking, why me? Failure is asking, why not you? Why not you grow? Why not you mature? Why not you get stronger instead of bitter? See, some people experience failure and get emotional. Others experience failure and get educated. One runs, the other rebuilds. Failure will show you if your foundation was built on motivation instead of discipline. Motivation feels good when things are going well. Discipline shows up when things fall apart. Failure exposes whether you train for comfort or for conflict. And listen to me closely, because this part matters. Failure doesn't mean you're weak. It means something in your system is weak. Your routine, your mindset, your preparation, your priorities. Failure doesn't ask you to feel bad. It asks you to fix what's broken. But ego hates exposure. Ego wants applause without accountability. Ego wants the reward without the refinement. And that's why so many people hate failure, because it doesn't stroke your pride, it strips it. And that stripping, that's sacred ground. Because once failure reveals the truth, now you have power. Now you know what needs work. Now you know what can't stay the same. Now you stop guessing and start building with intention. You stop saying, I'm talented, and start asking, am I consistent? You stop saying, I'm passionate, and start asking, am I disciplined? You stop saying, they doubted me, and start asking, did I really prepare? Failure matures you if you let it. It humbles you before life humiliates you. It teaches you quietly so success doesn't have to teach you loudly. And here's the final truth, the one that separates those who rise from those who repeat the same cycle. If you listen to failure, you won't meet it again at the same level. It will come back, but higher, stronger, with more responsibility. Because failure isn't the end, it's the invitation. Nobody warns you that entitlement is silent. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you that because you tried, you deserve. That because you sacrificed, you should be rewarded. And life doesn't work like that. Failure shows up to shut that voice down. See, entitlement is dangerous because it feels justified. You tell yourself, I put in time. You say, I stayed up late. You remind the world, I've been through a lot. And maybe all of that is true. But effort without execution doesn't move the scoreboard. Pain without progress doesn't change the outcome. And failure doesn't care how tired you are. It only responds to results. Failure kills the fantasy that wanting something is the same as earning it. You can want success with all your heart and still not qualify for it. You can be passionate and still be unprepared. You can work hard and still work wrong. Failure makes that clear, and it does it without apology. This is where most people get offended instead of educated. They say, I gave it my all. Failure asks, did you give it what it required? They say, I deserve a chance. Failure asks, did you earn the opportunity? That's not disrespect. That's reality. Entitlement is believing the world owes you something because you showed up. Failure teaches you that showing up is the minimum. Excellence is optional, but rewards are not attached to average. And when failure hits, it strips away the stories you tell yourself. No more if only. No more they didn't see me. No more next time they'll understand. Failure doesn't negotiate with explanations. It stands there silent, waiting for you to either level up or walk away. And let me tell you something hard but necessary. Failure will hurt you until entitlement dies. Because entitlement keeps you soft. It keeps you blaming systems, people, timing, luck. It keeps you pointing outward instead of looking inward. And as long as your fingers are pointing away from you, your power is gone. Failure gives your power back by forcing accountability. It says, own this, own the preparation, own the attitude, own the execution, not emotionally, structurally, because when entitlement dies, hunger is born. Real hunger, not the kind that talks, the kind that trains, the kind that studies, the kind that stays quiet and puts in work when nobody is clapping. Failure humbles you so you can be rebuilt correctly. You stop asking, why them, and start asking, what do they know that I don't? You stop saying, I'm just as good, and start saying, I'm not ready yet. That shift right there, that's maturity. Failure doesn't lower the standard to protect your feelings. It raises the standard to prepare your future. And when entitlement is gone, you stop arguing with the process and start respecting it. You respect time, you respect repetition, you respect mastery. You realize that nobody owes you a breakthrough. Nobody owes you recognition. Nobody owes you success. And the moment you accept that, something powerful happens. You stop waiting to be chosen and start building something undeniable. Failure teaches you that the world rewards value, not intention. Results, not reasons. Consistency, not convenience. And yes, it's painful because entitlement feels good. It makes you feel special before you're skilled. Failure takes that comfort away, but it replaces it with something far more dangerous: competence. Competence doesn't beg. Competence doesn't complain. Competence doesn't need excuses. It shows up ready. So when failure shuts the door in your face, don't curse it. Don't personalize it. Don't run from it. Let it do its work. Let it crush entitlement out of you so discipline can rise in its place. You don't discover strength when everything is easy. You discover it when your back is against the wall and there's no applause to carry you through. When motivation runs dry, when confidence starts asking questions, that's when failure steps in, not as punishment, but as training. Because mental toughness is not born in comfort. Comfort lies to you. Comfort tells you you're ready because you feel good. Comfort tells you you're strong because nothing is challenging you. Comfort builds confidence that collapses the moment pressure shows up. And the first time life hits hard, that kind of confidence disappears fast. Failure is different. Failure puts weight on your soul. It stretches you past what you thought you could endure. It asks you to stand when quitting would make sense. And that's how toughness is built. And mental toughness isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's quiet. It's the decision you make at 5 a.m. when nobody is watching. It's staying focused when the results haven't shown up yet. It's continuing to believe when evidence says stop. Failure teaches you how to stay standing without validation. See, anybody can feel confident when they're winning. Anybody can speak faith when things are going their way. But when failure knocks the wind out of you, when plans fall apart, when people doubt you, when progress is slow, that's when your mindset is tested. Not your talent, not your potential, your resilience. Failure asks a single question: can you stay disciplined without encouragement? Because life doesn't reward emotional strength, it rewards mental endurance. Failure teaches you how to take hits without breaking. It teaches you how to absorb disappointment and still show up the next day. It hardens your resolve. It trains your mind to operate under pressure, not panic. And listen closely, because this part separates the strong from the fragile. Mental toughness doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means pain doesn't control your direction. Failure will make you feel tired. Failure will make you feel embarrassed. Failure will make you question yourself. But toughness is deciding that those feelings don't get the final vote. You learn how to keep moving with a heavy heart. You learn how to focus with a noisy mind. You learn how to trust the process even when progress feels invisible. That doesn't come from success. That comes from survival. Failure gives you scar tissue in your thinking. You stop panicking over small problems because you've already faced bigger ones. You stop folding under pressure because pressure has become familiar. You stop needing reassurance because you've already proven to yourself that you can endure. That's mental toughness. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Some people want success, but they can't handle the stress that comes with it. Failure prepares you for that stress. It trains you to stay calm when stakes are high. It teaches you to think clearly when emotions are loud. It builds patience in a world that demands instant results. Failure slows you down so your mind can catch up with your ambition. You start responding instead of reacting. You start planning instead of panicking. You start trusting discipline over feelings. That's growth. And the more failure you survive, the less intimidating it becomes. You stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as a workout. Something uncomfortable, yes, but necessary. Something painful, yes, but productive. You realize that every setback you endure without quitting adds weight to your mental strength. Every loss you analyze instead of avoiding sharpens your thinking. Every hard season you survive without losing your character builds a confidence no applause can give you. Not hype confidence, not ego confidence, unshakable confidence. The kind that says, I've been here before. I didn't quit then. I won't quit now. Failure doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. And when strength replaces fear, pressure stops controlling you. When mental toughness is built, obstacles stop looking like walls and start looking like training grounds. That's why failure isn't the enemy. It's the conditioning. It's preparing you for moments where quitting will be tempting and excuses will be reasonable. It's teaching you how to stand firm when emotions say run. So if life feels heavy right now, don't pray for lighter weight, build stronger shoulders. At some point, the excuses have to die, not tomorrow, not when it feels better, right now. Because failure doesn't come to argue with you, it comes to confront you. It stands in front of your life and says, this is yours, not theirs, not the system's, not the timings. Yours. And the moment you try to pass it off, failure gets louder, heavier, more persistent. Failure demands accountability, not the kind you talk about, the kind you live with. See, blaming feels good for a moment. It protects your pride. It softens the sting. It gives you a story you can tell yourself so you don't have to change. But blame is expensive. Every excuse you make costs you progress. Every justification delays growth, and failure doesn't move until responsibility shows up. Failure is patient. It will wait until you're ready to stop lying to yourself. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they refuse ownership. They say, if they had supported me, if the timing was right, if I had more resources, and failure responds the same way every time. What did you do with what you had? Accountability starts when you stop asking who failed you and start asking how you failed yourself. That question hurts. That question humbles. That question changes everything. Because the moment you own it, you take your power back. As long as the problem lives outside of you, the solution does too. But when you accept responsibility, control returns. Now you can adjust. Now you can rebuild. Now you can grow. Failure isn't asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be honest. Honest about your preparation. Honest about your consistency. Honest about your priorities. You don't get better by pretending. You get better by confronting. And failure is the confrontation you can't avoid. Accountability means looking at the result and saying, this outcome reflects my habits. Not your intentions, not your dreams, your habits. And habits don't change through emotion, they change through discipline. Failure forces you to audit your life. Where did you cut corners? Where did you get comfortable? Where did you stop pushing? Those answers don't come from confidence, they come from courage. And here's the truth most people resist. Accountability doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. It's the moment you stop defending yourself and start developing yourself. It's the shift from explaining to executing, from talking to transforming. Failure doesn't want your tears, it wants your adjustment. When accountability enters the room, excuses exit. You stop saying, that's just how I am, and start saying, that's what I need to fix. You stop waiting for motivation and start building structure. You stop hoping things change and start changing things. That's maturity, and maturity is required for the next level. Failure knows something you don't yet. Success demands responsibility before it delivers rewards. You cannot carry greater opportunities with a careless mindset. You cannot handle pressure without personal ownership. Failure blocks the door until you're ready to be trusted with more. That's not punishment, that's protection. Because accountability creates consistency. Consistency creates credibility, and credibility creates results that last. When you take responsibility, you stop needing validation. You stop blaming people who don't understand your journey. You stop reacting emotionally to every setback. Instead, you respond strategically, calm, focused, grounded. Failure teaches you how to stand in the mirror and not flinch, to say, I missed that. I underestimated that. I didn't prepare enough. And instead of shrinking, you rise. Accountability builds integrity, doing the work even when nobody is checking. It builds character, choosing discipline over convenience. It builds leadership, starting with yourself before pointing at anyone else. And listen carefully, because this is where transformation happens. The moment you fully own your failures, they stop owning you. They become lessons instead of labels, information instead of identity, training instead of trauma. Failure demands accountability not to shame you, but to shape you. So stop negotiating with excuses. Stop replaying blame. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Look at the result, accept it, learn from it, adjust your actions. Because the future you're praying for is waiting on the responsibility you've paid, has a way of cutting through the noise. When everything falls apart, distractions don't matter anymore. What used to feel important suddenly feels small, and what truly matters steps forward without asking permission. That's what failure does. Failure sharpens focus by stripping away the extras. It removes the comfort, the applause, the false priorities, and leaves you alone with the truth. No crowd, no validation, just you and the question that matters most: what are you really here to do? Before failure, your energy is scattered. You're chasing too many things, listening to too many voices, trying to be everything at once. And then failure hits hard, and suddenly you don't have the luxury of confusion anymore. Pain demands clarity. Failure forces you to decide what stays and what goes. It shows you which goals were real and which ones were just convenient, which relationships strengthen you and which ones drain you, which habits move you forward and which ones keep you busy but stuck. Failure simplifies your life, not gently, but effectively. When everything is going well, you tolerate distractions, you waste time, you overcommit, you entertain nonsense. But when failure arrives, it doesn't allow that. It tightens the lens, it narrows the path. It demands focus because survival requires it. And that focus, that's where growth lives. Failure teaches you to stop reacting to everything and start responding to what matters. You stop chasing every opportunity and start committing to the right one. You stop listening to opinions and start listening to principles. Distractions die when pain becomes your teacher. You learn quickly that not everything deserves your attention. Not every battle is worth your energy. Not every voice deserves a seat at the table. Failure teaches you that focus is not about doing more, it's about doing less, better. And here's the truth most people miss: focus is expensive. It costs comfort, it costs popularity, it costs ease. Failure helps you pay that price because it removes the illusion that you can afford to be distracted. You stop scrolling and start studying. You stop talking and start training. You stop wishing and start working with intention. Failure exposes where your time has been leaking. It shows you how often you've been busy instead of productive, how often you've been entertained instead of disciplined, how often you've confused motion with progress. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Failure rewires your priorities. You start asking different questions. Not what feels good, but what moves me forward. Not who agrees with me, but who challenges me. Not what's easy right now, but what's necessary long term. That's maturity. That's focus. Failure gives you the gift of urgency, not panic purpose. You realize time is not guaranteed, opportunities are not endless, and potential means nothing without execution. So you move with intention, you plan with precision, you act with discipline. Failure doesn't just wake you up, it keeps you awake. And when your focus sharpens, your effort becomes more effective. You don't waste energy proving yourself. You invest energy building yourself. You stop explaining your dreams and start protecting them, because failure teaches you that distractions are expensive, but discipline pays dividends. You begin to respect silence. You value consistency over excitement. You choose depth over noise. You become selective with your time, your energy, your commitments. That's when momentum changes. Failure narrows your path so you can walk it with power. It removes the clutter so you can see clearly. It hurts, yes, but it heals your direction. And let me say this plainly: if failure hasn't sharpened your focus, you haven't listened to it yet. Because when you truly learn the lesson, your life becomes simpler, not easier, but clear. You know what you're building. You know why you're building it, and you stop letting distractions negotiate your destiny. Failure doesn't waste your pain. It concentrates it. It turns confusion into clarity, noise into direction, and scattered effort into purposeful action. So if your world feels smaller right now, don't panic. That narrowing is intentional. That pressure is shaping you. That focus is preparing you. You don't break at the level you're prepared for. You only break at the level you weren't trained to carry. And failure shows up when life is trying to upgrade you. Because the next level doesn't announce itself with applause. It arrives with pressure. Pressure exposes limits. Pressure reveals capacity. And failure is the weight that tests whether your strength is real or imagined. It doesn't come to push you backward. It comes to build the muscles you'll need where you're going. Failure prepares you for the next level by introducing you to responsibility before reward. See, everybody wants elevation, but not everyone wants the expectations that come with it. More influence means more pressure. More opportunity means more accountability. More success means less margin for error. And failure is the training ground that gets you ready to operate there without collapsing. Failure doesn't just ask, can you succeed? It asks, can you sustain success? Before the next level, failure increases the load. It tests your discipline when nobody is watching. It stretches your patience when progress is slow. It demands consistency when motivation fades. And if you listen, failure tells you exactly what needs strengthening. You thought talent would carry you. Failure shows you where discipline is required. You thought passion was enough. Failure shows you where structure is missing. You thought confidence would protect you. Failure shows you where humility is needed. That's preparation. Failure exposes the gaps not to shame you, but to secure you. Because unsecured success is dangerous. It collapses under its own weight. And failure refuses to let you step into something you can't yet manage. That delay you're frustrated about. That setback you're questioning. That struggle you're tired of. It's conditioning. Failure is increasing your capacity so you don't self-destruct when the doors open. At the next level, mistakes cost more. Attention is sharper. Pressure is heavier. And the habits you build in failure determine whether you rise with grace or fall from stress. Failure teaches you how to carry weight without complaining, how to stay grounded when expectations rise, how to remain disciplined when freedom increases. Because more success doesn't mean more ease. It means more responsibility. Failure prepares you to make decisions with wisdom instead of impulse. It teaches you to think long-term instead of short-term. It slows you down so you don't outrun your character. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Some prayers are delayed because you're not ready to handle the answer. Failure is heaven's way of strengthening your hands before placing something heavy in them. You learn how to manage loss so you can handle gain. You learn how to endure obscurity so you can survive visibility. You learn how to take correction so you can accept leadership. Failure matures you. It strips away immaturity, ego, and shortcuts. It builds patience where impulsiveness once lived. It builds discipline where excuses once hid. It builds character where image once mattered more. And character is the currency of the next level. Failure prepares you to show up differently. You stop chasing validation. You stop proving yourself. You stop rushing the process. Instead, you become steady, reliable, grounded. You move with intention. You speak with restraint. You act with integrity. That doesn't come from success. That comes from struggle. Failure makes the next level survivable because elevation without preparation leads to burnout, breakdown, and regret. Failure slows you down so you don't break later. It builds strength quietly so you don't collapse publicly. And when you finally step into that next level, you'll recognize the weight, not as a threat, but as familiarity. You've carried it before, in pieces, in training, in failure. What once felt heavy now feels manageable. Failure didn't weaken you, it equipped you. So if you're frustrated right now, if progress feels delayed, if life feels heavier than you expected, don't curse the pressure, respect it. It's proof that you're being prepared. Because when the moment comes, when opportunity meets readiness, you won't just rise.